Hello, my name is Sonya Schryer Norris, and I run Plum Librarian LLC. This is a demo for values-based resiliency in the workplace. I have more than 20 classes on Niche Academy, and I've worked as the Academy Administrator for Michigan, California, and Virginia. This class is about cultivating resiliency skills that promote the personal qualities that allow a learner to adapt in difficult circumstances, including to other people's perspectives and priorities, to build an optimistic attitude with concrete actions such as accepting kindness and having self-compassion, and to have a realistic sense of control over their choices and an understanding of the limits of that control. The course includes 8 original videos that have been professionally produced, balanced with carefully researched and properly cited text content. My team includes a media consultant, a senior researcher, an assistant researcher, and an accessibility expert. We've got a lot of resources, and we applied all of them in this class. The course is WCAG 2.0 AA compliant, as is the platform. I thought it was important that the exercises be private so that no one supervisor or colleague would be able to see their answers. While the skills building exercises are built into the class, the primary exercises, identify your work values, write a self-compassion letter, and apply your values in decision-making, are all fillable PDFs that the learner will save to their own desktop so that their responses are private to them. There are an additional 5 skills building exercises. They are also private fillable PDFs. The course includes knowledge checks at the end of each section, as well as those important skills building exercises throughout. It follows the standard instructional design best practices for learning via multiple methods of interacting with the content. I did a round of learner testing with every generation in the workforce, as well as multiple state continuing education coordinators. So shout outs to Lauren Clossy, Cindy Church, Dorcas Davis, Lisa Barnhart, and Gina Robinson. Their contributions helped this class go from something that I was excited about to a product that I am very proud of. So let's get into the course content. We start off with the science behind building resiliency. This course relies on research by Catherine M. Connor and Jonathan R. Davidson at Duke University, and they were funded by the National Institutes of Health. Their work has become a foundation of resiliency research and development. Connor and Davidson have identified specific skills and attitudes that resilient people embody, and this course includes the framework and methods of building those resiliency skills within yourself. Here is the takeaway from the opening section on resiliency, that emotional resilience can be strengthened the same way that physical resilience can, by practice. And this class shows the learner how to do that. The course uses a tool called Identify Your Work Values, adapted from novaworks.org. After identifying their work duties, learners will practice recognizing how they are already applying their values within their everyday duties. They'll also make a plan about how to promote a truth-based relationship with their manager by communicating their values to them. Here's an example of a portion of the exercise on identifying your work values. It's called Make a Plan to Make Your Workplace Work for You. And after identifying what's important to them, they can communicate directly with their supervisor so that their best work can be done. We also talk about how likability in either direction is not necessary for excellent work. And we talk about being realistic about what you may or may not be able to influence and control within your workplace, including your own job duties. Learners will take steps to appreciate other people's values, even when they differ, and learn how to be objective about how different values benefit the library. And their colleague Olive will show them how to do that. In the beginning, Olive works alongside the learner, and Olive values power. The learner will watch Olive as she learns how to use power to build skills for herself that benefit the library, while at the same time benefiting library workers. Olive will move on to become an assistant director. In that role, she cultivates status and influence. The learner will see how the community connections she develops provide good outcomes to the city and to the library at the same time. Those connections will continue to benefit the library, even though she takes 2-hour lunches when other people don't. And then the learner will have an opportunity to consider the nuance around the value of loyalty. They'll look at how loyalty may put them at a disadvantage depending on who they're loyal to. They'll also see the results of a poll of 140 library staff who were asked who they were more loyal to, themselves, their colleagues, or the library itself. Here is that opportunity to consider nuance around the value of loyalty. Here's that poll of 140 library staff. I conducted the poll at a conference, and these are the results. So you can compare yourself too, whether you're more loyal to your library, to your colleagues, or to yourself. The takeaway from the values identification section is that you can work from a place of integrity, even when you are working in circumstances that are not to your liking, or working toward goals that you didn't choose. You don't need to give in or pretend to agree with other people, but you do need to be able to adapt to other people's priorities. We'll explore how working toward other people's priorities does not mean that you have compromised your values. Here is one of the videos from the course in the section on adaptability. It's called, Clearly, It's All About Me. So, how do you adapt to something that you don't agree with? One way is by recognizing that there can be competing truths about a situation, and that those viewpoints may be impacted by different priorities. You and your boss may see things very differently, and neither of you are incorrect. And that by telling the truth, especially when it's hard, especially when you have to admit a failure, can help you get to the next opportunity to prove your worth. That's the takeaway from the section on adaptability. If you are known as an individual who tells the truth, even when it reflects an inadequacy or failure to perform on your part, You build the trust necessary to carry you through to another opportunity to prove yourself and your worth. The next section is on building optimism. Optimism is not a soft skill. It is a vital skill. And optimists bring skill sets that may surprise you. They certainly surprised me. I thought this was going to be a squishy part of the class until my senior research assistant, Ann Sanders, really dug into what optimism means on a practical level. Optimists adjust their beliefs to both their degree of control and to a realistic assessment of their own abilities. That allows them to devote resources, including time, intellect, and emotional energy, to tasks that they can accomplish rather than undoable tasks. This makes them more likely to succeed on the job. Optimism is not linked to intelligence, education, or wealth. And in a study of twins raised apart, researchers found that only 25% of optimism is inherited. Optimism can be learned, cultivated, and encouraged. Acts of kindness build and reinforce optimism. They improve resiliency, increase personal happiness and peace, and promote a stronger physical immunity. Accepting kindness reinforces optimism. There is a skills building exercise within the class where the learner will be asked to consider a time when a colleague or supervisor was kind to them and to describe how it made them feel to experience that kindness. Of course, the best person to start practicing kindness with is yourself. Learners will have the example of a library staff member who did not live up to their expectations for themselves and did not protect a patron from abuse by another patron. First, the learner is asked whether they can forgive that staff member after reading that person's letter of self-kindness. And then they are asked to recall a situation in the workplace where they acted in a way that didn't meet their expectations for themselves, where they feel regret or remorse. And they'll be walked through the sections of writing a letter of self-compassion. This response came in from a Gen X banking executive as a response to the self-kindness letter. I've done professional development courses to identify my values, but nothing similar to the self-compassion letter. It is a powerful way to frame the content. That self-compassion exercise is also available on my website, plumlibrarian.com, for you to experience for yourself. The takeaway from the section on optimism is that when you are compassionate with yourself, you can learn to be compassionate with others and to assume noble intent when they fall short of your expectations, to extend them grace. The learner will have the opportunity to practice building resilience when they don't have control over things that matter to them. We talk about the circles of control as popularized by Stephen Covey: the circle of control, of influence, and of concern. This is the skills building exercise around circle of control. First, the learner is asked to identify an area of concern. An area of concern includes actions, behaviors, and the reactions of others. that are outside of the learner's control. They are then asked to think about a way to build resilience about that area of concern, not to figure out how to influence or control that situation, but to use the skills of adaptability and optimism for their own resilience. Hot gossip comes in when the learner overhears a conversation in the finance department. The conversation says that Olive, now the director, overspent on a gardening project, and now there is going to have to be a hiring freeze. The learner will diagram their decision-making process about what to do with that information about Olive. They'll practice considering the consequences of their actions as they work within their spheres of control, influence, and concern. They can use the decision-making worksheet in the class to help with any decision. It's a fillable form, so they can keep a copy to work with later, on or off the job. Then, they'll also have to consider how other people's decisions about what to do with the information about that overspending on the gardening project may impact the situation. The learner testing generated some more great feedback. Both of these comments were from Gen Zers. Technically, this course is fantastic and the content is important. It was a beautifully executed course, very simple to follow and easy to understand. And the takeaway from having control over our choices is that even when you do great work and accomplish exactly what your manager asked for, you can't control the outcome. And that doesn't take away from your great work or what you learned from it. You also can't control what other people do or say or think. The final section is on handling conflict. This course includes a video from the Harvard Business Review called How to Disagree with Your Boss. It reinforces that you can disagree with someone and still show respect for them, their position, and their ideas. It does not compromise your integrity to be respectful to others when you are having a difficult conversation about things that you do not agree on. Instead, it helps you to be more objective and ultimately gives you a better chance to have your views heard. The takeaway to this section on handling conflict is that assuming others' noble intent when you are in conflict with them, including your boss, leaves more room for a successful outcome. It allows you to be flexible during a negative moment, and it can give you confidence that a bad situation will turn around. It protects hope. It builds adaptability and optimism. And this quote came in from a boomer. Having taken a lot of online classes recently, I think the layout and the pacing of this class is great. I was really glad to see this kind of positive feedback. The final takeaway is that the learner will be okay no matter what comes next for them, because they have a great resource. They have themselves. They have their resiliency and their ability to learn new skills. A subscription to the course includes marketing support in the form of 3 pieces with matching graphics that you can use in newsletters or email. For a price quote and class information, you can contact me at librarian@sonyanorris.com or just go to my website where all of that information is posted, plumlibrarian.com. Thank you so much for your time today. My team is very proud of what we've produced. Values-based resiliency in the workplace answers the questions, how do your values impact your decisions in the workplace? And how will choices you make today help you build resiliency for tomorrow? Values-based resiliency in the workplace is now available on Niche Academy. My name is Sonya Schryer Norris. My company is Plum Librarian LLC. You can reach my website at plumlibrarian.com, and you can always reach me at librarian@sonyanorris.com. Thank you.